Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sports 2.0 Network for another edition of Shot Clock Violation. This is the most entertaining show we have, and that's my unbiased opinion because I came up with this idea. So I'm just going to stick with it. I've got a wonderful panel here. We have got Ryan Godzian, Akshay Kumbar, Jay Williams, and the only two-time champion in the history of the show. He's not in his head. He's over there on the opposite corner of me. I'm staying as far away from him as I can. Will Reed back to defend his title. Will, you won last time, so you're going to get to deliver the opening thoughts of this show.
I mean, I don't think the fans would be too surprised that I came through with as the first two-time champion of Shot Clock Violation. If you're a bit of an echo, that's just the room I'm in. We're moving a lot. I've talked to Grant about it. We're moving from house to house. So I have weird setups every day on each show, but that echoes from me if you hear it throughout the show. But yeah, I'm glad to be the first two-time champion of Shot Clock Violation. I plan to make it 3 today, but I've got some tough competition. And I know Akshay and Jay are trying to tie it up and make it 2 for themselves too. So let's have a good show.
Ryan's got a smirk on his face while you were talking, Will. I think he might be out for blood here. Before we hop into it, make sure that you subscribe to the Sports 2.0 Network. We are up over 820 YouTube subscribers. I haven't checked the last number, but we are going to the moon. We're gaining a ton of subscribers, so thank you to everybody that has hopped on board. And we're going to keep the great content flowing. And, of course, we are going to start that off with round 1. Now, Jay, you're the one closest to me, so you're going to get to go first on this one. And I want to know, what has been the best part of the Olympics to you so far? Jaya, you're starting off the show here, and you are on the clock.
I think 100% my favorite part of the Olympics so far has been the women's 1500 meter freestyle. As you guys know, the 2021 Olympics was the first time in history to offer this to women, which should have been a long time ago, but that's a huge step forward in gender equality and swimming in general, which makes me really happy to see. And in swimming, Katie Ledecky just won the 1500 meter freestyle, so she became the 9th woman with 6 Olympic gold medals. I think it's just really, really cool to see that kind of history and this kind of event being offered in the Olympics. I know I was really, really anticipating it throughout the entire time, and it makes me happy just to see that kind of thing happening, especially because they had to do the 200 meter right after, and the men didn't have to do that part. So I thought that was just really interesting and fun to watch.
Yeah, fun to watch indeed. That's all the Olympics have been, and we're in for a couple more weeks of great action. Will, you're right above me now, so we'll let you go. What has been the best part of the Olympics so far?
Yeah, similar to Jay, I'm going to take it to some history that happened in the pool, and this happened just yesterday. Lydia Jacoby, a 17-year-old from the state of Alaska, became the first Alaskan-born Olympian from the United States to win Olympic gold at just the age of 17. It was beyond impressive. She won the 100-meter breaststroke event, and she wasn't even the favorite. She wasn't even the favorite American. She had Lily King over there from America. She was the favorite to win the event. There was also South African swimmer Tatiana Shoemaker, who was supposed to be one of the other favorites to win the event. But Lydia Jacoby came through. She won the event. I mean, if you guys saw the replay, she had a ton of fans back home where she's from in Alaska, just cheering her on, making sure that she was the first Alaskan to be the first Olympic gold winner from Alaska. It was just pretty amazing to see, just great history for a 17-year-old.
Incredible achievement indeed, especially considering there's only one Olympic-sized pool in the whole state of Alaska. How she won the Olympic gold, who knows, but it's one of the best stories of the year. Akshay, how about you? What has been your favorite part of the Olympics so far?
Yeah, so I'm going to stay in the pool as well, but I'm going to go up top. I'm going to go diving with the 10 meters, the women's synchronized 10-meter dive. We saw, obviously, China was, going to be the favorites heading into this. But what I didn't realize until I was actually watching it was that the 2 Chinese women were 15 and 17 years old, and they obliterated the entire competition. They won by more than 50 points, easily had the gold medal. And they were only 15 and 17 years old, and they are competing in their first Olympics, and they were blowing out people left and right. Their dives were amazing. And coming in second place were, Jessica Parado and Delaney Schnell from the United States, finally getting their first medal in women's diving. So it was just a great overall sport and event there. Really enjoyed those two teams.
Yeah, a lot of gold medals for people who could be competing in junior championships. Incredible scene so far. Ryan, you got the last words on this one. What has been your favorite part of the Olympics so far?
My favorite moment so far has been an incredible story by this Russian gymnast named Artur Daloyan. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But he tore his Achilles 3 months ago, and he just won Olympic gold. Now, first of all, it's incredible that he was even able to participate in the Olympics. Coming back in 3 months after one of the most horrific sports injuries known to mankind, right up there with a torn ACL. He set the bar extremely high. Some guys don't even come back after a year. You look at Durant; he took a long time to come back. Klay Thompson, we had Kobe Bryant. All these guys who are top of their sports, they took forever to come back. This guy came back in 3 months and won gold. So he's putting everyone else to shame, and he's setting the bar extremely high. I don't know about you, Grant, but I can't even come back from a sprained ankle in 3 months, let alone a torn Achilles.
I know you had no idea when you brought that up, but that's kind of a low blow because I broke my ankle 3 times in high school. So I've got my eye on you, Ryan. I don't know what kind of inside digging you did on my background, but we're going to move on into the next round here. And we had a show about this yesterday. So, Ryan, I was there with you. Might have a little bit of an advantage on this one. Jay, I know you've got knowledge on this one too. We're talking about the best stories from NFL training camp so far. Akshay, you are one of the guys in the middle, so you're going to kick us off on this one. What do you think has been the biggest story from training camp thus far?
There's the whole Aaron Rodgers situation, but I'm a Jets fan, and it pains me to say this, but we still have not signed Zach Wilson, the number 2 overall pick. There's some contract issues going on there. I know Joe Douglas is a great general manager. He's done exceptional things in his 2 years here. But he's the starting quarterback. Nobody on the Jets roster has any NFL experience or play time. So we need him as badly as it is. And if we're starting training camp the first couple of days without him, we might be screwed. I mean, we're already screwed the season because we are not good. But we need to have Zach Wilson signed on this team. And he needs to be at training camp so he can prove to us and prove to the rest of the world that he is that guy for the New York Jets and that we made the right decision drafting him at number 2.
I like that. Confidence from a Jets fan. You don't hear that very often. Jaya, you're up next. What has been your biggest storyline from NFL training camp so far?
I think the Packers definitely have the biggest stories. Randall Cobb finalizing his trade, officially kind of announcing that he is going to be going to the Packers. I think if you're a Green Bay fan, there's some light at the end of the tunnel here. Cobb returning will be a really big positive for Aaron Rodgers, especially given that they had great chemistry and they have that veteran experience with each other. And this is also great news for Cobb, considering the Houston Texans are arguably the worst team in the NFL right now. They're projected to have the worst record of the regular season in the NFL. So now he has a better chance of having a good season for himself. Maybe Deshaun Watson will also be so lucky, but who knows with that one. Anyway, back to Cobb, though. I think when healthy, he can be a really effective slot man. He's a great wide receiver, a great addition behind Devontae Adams. And I think the Packers could really use his talent, especially with Rodgers there as well.
Yep. Green Bay might be the last dance if you buy into these Instagram stories. Will, what has been your biggest storyline from training camp?
Yeah, I'm going to take a little bit of a different route than the others, and I'm going to go with Urban Meyer in his first training camp as an NFL head coach with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's making the transition from college football. He took the last few years off, but he's shown that he can have success. He started off in Utah in college, and obviously he had some nice national championship runs with Tim Tebow with the Florida Gators, and then in Ohio State. In his last few years in college football. I'm really intrigued to see what he's going to do in the NFL, especially having the number 1 overall draft pick right by his side with Trevor Lawrence. There's a lot of young guys on that Jacksonville roster, and I think it's great to have a college mind kind of joining them in, like they're all kind of doing this together. And I know Urban Meyer's a great coach. They've wanted him to be in the NFL for a long time, and I think he's a great transition guy. That'll be good for these young players. I mean, you got Trevor Lawrence. They drafted his teammate, Travis Etienne, out of Clemson as well. So they're going to be a lot of young guys in that Jacksonville locker room, and I'm intrigued to see what happens there in Jacksonville. And training camp's going to open up a lot of eyes on what's going to happen going into the season.
Yep, absolutely. Something special in Jacksonville. Ryan, you're going to close us out. Favorite story from training camp?
Well, it's definitely not going to come from the Jets or the Jaguars. I'll tell you that for sure. I was surprised, Jay didn't bring up the Lions because that was the theme of the segment. Anyway, I'm going to go with Jay here with the Packers, but I'm going to take a different spin on it. I think the biggest story was Aaron Rodgers' press conference today. You never see an athlete, especially that good, be so open and candid in a press conference. I was shocked to see that. I thought he would avoid much of the questions. He even said that Green Bay is not a vacation destination and guys only come here to play with him and to win championships. If that's not as honest as it gets, I don't know what it is. It was the biggest slap in the face of the Packers. And I think Rodgers was just waiting to say that in front of the entire public. I can't believe he had the guts to even say it, but it was really entertaining to watch. I don't know about you guys. I was eating popcorn in the morning. I usually have it at night with the movies, but that press conference was incredible and very, very entertaining.
You're right, and I was dialed in for that one. I love that out of you. That was absolutely the best storyline, in my opinion. Now we're at the end of round one. I kind of just spoiled it. We know Ryan's going to be moving on. He was the top dog in that one. But this is the worst part of the show where I have to say goodbye to one of our wonderful contestants here. Three people. I think you guys might have the most experience out of everybody on this show. And it's going to be our person with the most experience in winning who is going to be departing. Will, you're out the door. I told you to stay on the other side of the screen away from me. Our two-time champ is out. Will, we'll give you one last hurrah here. Any final thoughts before we move on into the second round?
I think you just didn't want me to make it 3 today. I mean, we got to keep the show rolling. We got to keep it competitive. I know I'm a little bit of above the competition here, so we got to keep it competitive. Knock me out in the first round. It is what it is. I have the echo too. You want to get rid of that too. And any excuse I'll use, but I mean, the other guys performed well. Other guys and girls, Jay did a good job too. So they brought their arguments today. I can't wait to see what they have coming up.
All right, Will, I'm not buying your whole passive aggressive. I'm the best, but I understand why I'm out. Get out of here, Will. We will see you later. We're moving on into the second round here, and we've only got one topic in this one. So this is one of the most important subjects of the show. And I want to know, this is a big one. Ryan, you can start us off. What is the best MLB trade that has not happened yet?
Well, I think Milwaukee has been a city of champions recently. You look at Giannis; they just won the NBA Finals. Rodgers coming back to Green Bay. This is like a Cinderella story. You know what would be even better? If the Brewers got Brian Reynolds and Richard Rodriguez from the Pirates. That would be an incredible story. Talk about all the fans eating those cheese all those years. I think they would just, get fat because of how happy they would be if that trade happened. It's incredible how a city can go from being so low to so high. Starting the season, Rodgers was the night of the draft. Rodgers requested a trade. Then Giannis hurt his knee. Giannis comes back, wins the NBA championship. Rodgers comes back. Now we need a Brian Reynolds trade to happen. Let's go Brewers. I want to see it happen. Milwaukee's the city of champions. Let's go.
The city of champions. I like that, but I think there is some truth in that. I think you can rally around a city, even if it's not in the same sport. I like where your head's at. Brewers having a pretty good year this far. They've got good pitching, but they could always use some more. I like that out of you. Akshay, you're going to go for the middle part here. What is the best MLB trade that hasn't happened yet? And let me guess. Let's keep the Shohei Ohtani bias out of this. What's the best trade that hasn't happened yet?
Well, I'm gonna stick in the outfield here. I'm gonna go Joey Gallo not being traded from the Texas Rangers. There's plenty of landing spots for him, whether it be the Yankees, the Padres, or the Blue Jays. All three of those teams are looking for outfielders, especially the Yankees. I mean, Yankees outfielders are made out of glass this season, so they really need that power from him. But I mean, Joey Gallo on the Texas Rangers right now, he needs to be shipped off. I mean, he is too good of a talent to be, diminishing his career in Texas right now. They are not going to be contenders anytime soon. If I were him, I would get out of there now. And I know he said a comment the other day that there might be a trade where, it might be an instance where he doesn't get traded. Why would you want that? You want to go somewhere. You want to go to a contender. The Yankees or Padres, definitely one of the best landing spots for him. personally, I think he might go to the Yankees. I don't think the Padres have the need for him as much as the Yankees do.
Yep, I like that, Joey Gallo. Interesting situation. This talent feels like it's almost being wasted there, but he hasn't been pushing himself out the door. So that's a situation to monitor. Jay, you're going to close us out here. What is the best MLB trade that has not happened yet?
Now, I'm going to take this conversation to a completely different place, but I do think that this is still the best trade just because of everything that's been going on surrounding this. So we're going to talk about Chris Bryant for a second. Obviously, the Giants have talked with the Cubs about trading him, but that's not really why I want to bring him up. I think what makes this so important is the mental health aspect of what Bryant has been talking about. And in light of Simone Biles, obviously with the Olympics, we didn't get a chance to talk about that. But he went out and tweeted saying that he really admires a lot of what she did. And he's been struggling with his mental health, especially because of all this trade talk. So I think it's really important to remember when discussing trades that we know the deadline is near, but these are people with a lot of things going on. And especially for Bryant, he's been adamant in talking about how it's been affecting him. And I think that is really powerful to bring light to those types of situations.
Yep, I think that's great. Chris Bryant, he's the leader in that dugout. That team has been through a lot together. They've won World Series together. Now they're sort of fading into irrelevancy. I love what you had to say there. It is very important, especially piggybacking off the recent events that have gone down with Simone Biles, Michael Phelps, Naomi Osaka sticking up in support of her. Very important to keep athletes' mental health in mind, whether it's a huge situation or it's just another day. They are, after all, human as well. So thank you for putting that out there. Definitely represents the sentiments of us on the show. But that is going to do it for round 2. And as much as I did love it, unfortunately, I asked what the best trade was, and you didn't really give me a trade, Jaya. So loved what you had to say, but it's gonna have to. The curtain's calling for you. So we'll give you one last word here before we move on.
I knew that me saying this was probably going to get me eliminated, but I just had to say it anyway because I feel that strongly about athletes' mental health and putting them as people first. So I stand behind what I said, and good luck, you guys. I'm rooting for you, Ryan.
Thank you, Jaya. Like I said, that represents all of us. We're 100% on board with you. We're going to move on to the final round now, though. And we've got Ryan and we've got Akshay. It's been a while since we've had one of these as our champions. Ryan's still looking for his first crown, but he did it. He dug up the dirt on me. I wouldn't be surprised if he's gone through extra lengths to make sure that he has the final answers here. Final round. Now, this one's a little bit different for those who have not tuned in before. Everybody, well, I say everybody, our 2 contestants are only going to get 24 seconds each, and then they will be able to respond to each other once per topic. We have 3 topics, and by the end of that, we will have a winner for the show. Now, which one of you went first last time? It was Ryan, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So, Akshay, you're going to kick us off in this final round here. And this is sort of a loaded question here, so feel free to take whatever angle you like. I want to know what your thoughts are on the NCAA conference realignment that is being discussed. And, of course, this could just be a couple teams going to the SEC. This could be the entire landscape of college athletics changing. We don't know. Akshay, what do you make of it?
Yeah, so obviously with Oklahoma and Texas leaving the Big 12 and trying to go to the SEC, I think that the Big 12 as a conference is screwed within the next 4 to 5 years. They're going to dissolve. They just lost to 2 big powerhouses. Their revenue is going to go down the drain. All those other teams are going to, be poached by other conferences to join them. So, in 4 to 5 years, I would expect the Big 12 to just not be a conference anymore.
Wow, it's hard to imagine that, but we may be heading down that road. Ryan, what do you think about the NCAA conference realignment?
I'm honestly, I'm not a big fan of it. You tune into these games to see these teams go at it. And Texas and Oklahoma were such great teams in the Big 12. When you think of the Big 12, you think of Texas and Oklahoma. Now going to SEC, it's a loaded conference. You got Alabama, you got LSU. They're going to be the underdogs. And I agree with Akshay. I think 4 or 5 years is actually being a little nice. I think it's in about 2 or 3 years the Big 12 will be gone. So it's a shame to see, in my opinion.
Akshay, I'll pose this question to you here. we may, given the new college football rules, obviously this is only for college football, but if all the talent is in one conference, that doesn't exactly create the most competitive environment for the college football playoff, correct?
No, it doesn't, and that's where you need to. That's where the College Football Playoff Committee needs to look into expanding the playoff. There's been talks about it the past couple of years, but if you're going to have a very top-heavy conference in the SEC, you're going to have to find more ways to get either a couple of those teams in the playoffs and other teams as well. Otherwise, it's really just going to be the SEC dominating all college football for as long as we can play football.
Ryan, you've got the last words on this topic here.
Yeah, I agree. Because it's such a loaded conference, I think it's going to be, such a juggernaut, kind of like the NFC West, but, there's even more teams in the SEC that are just going at it. I think it's going to lose, college football is going to lose a lot of credibility, in my opinion. Conferences like the Big 12, ACC are going to go downwards, and only people are going to be watching the SEC. And once the college football plays around, it's going to be very lopsided because of the conferences. So.
Yep, definitely a telling time. The next few years are going to be super important for the NCAA. But since we are in college athletics, we might as well keep it there. And I want to know, Ryan, you're going to get the first words on this one. Who do you think is either the best NCAA basketball team, or who are a few teams that you have your eye on heading into next season?
I got my eyes on UCLA. Think about the run they had in March Madness last year. They barely made it into the tournament, and they had an historic run. That semifinal game was the best college basketball game I've ever seen before. It was incredible. My eyes were glued to the TV. I see UCLA really building some confidence off that run last year, and I see them going far this year.
Of course, Johnny Juzang and the crew will be back. Akshay, what about you? Favorite college basketball team heading into next year?
I'm going to go with the team that actually beat UCLA in the Final Four. I'm going to go Gonzaga here. Obviously, they're going to lose Jalen Suggs and Corey Kispert, but I think that the return of Drew Timme and adding Chet Holmgren, who is the number one player in high school coming into college, it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to set up a lot of great things for Gonzaga, and I think they're going to be in a top spot again.
Yep. Ryan, back to you on this one. What do you think of Akshay's pick of Gonzaga?
I mean, it's kind of the obvious choice, but Akshay, Gonzaga got smashed in the national championship. People are thinking of UCLA right now as the underdogs. They made it so far. I want to see them next year. They're kind of like the Atlanta Hawks. But you look at Gonzaga, they kind of fell. They were expected to win. They lost to Houston. It's not. I think UCLA is the much better story here.
Akshay, final thoughts on this one? Yeah, as great as the story as it is, I mean, eventually these players are, that Cinderella run doesn't really last the whole season. I mean, they had a great regular season. They had an incredible postseason run, but I don't think that they'll be able to keep up. And especially in that Pac-12 conference, there's a lot of great teams there. Gonzaga's in the WCC, so I mean, there's not that many great teams in there, so they're going to have a very good opportunity just to dominate there and then take it to the next level of March Madness.
I feel like that's a good place to cut it off, actually, especially since what we were just talking about with conference realignment. Nobody really sees Gonzaga play in the regular season, so they are that team for the tournament. I think that's definitely something that is at play here as well. Final topic of the day, and it is a related topic. I want to know from you guys, got the NBA draft coming up pretty soon here. Who is your favorite prospect in this one? Akshay, first words.
A lot of people like Cade Cunningham, but I personally like Evan Mobley. I think he had a lot to show at defensive end at USC last season. He's not huge, build wise, but once he gets into an NBA program, he'll be massive and he'll be an absolute unit in the paint. And I think he's going to really have a successful career in the NBA.
Yep, he's not lacking confidence either. He says that he thinks he can be one of the best ever. Can do things that most people can't. Ryan, your favorite prospect in this draft?
Funny enough, my favorite prospect is also Evan Mobley. He's 7 feet tall. I think he's what Mo Bamba should have been for the Magic. Yes. He's an amazing wingspan, very versatile, can handle the ball, amazing defender. Whatever team is lucky enough to draft him, I think it's going to be very, very happy in about a few years. I think I wouldn't be surprised if he makes an all-star within his first 3 years in the NBA.
It's a bold proclamation. Since this is the buddy buddy show, you guys are agreeing here. Actually, just off the top of your head, who's one player that, it's not Cade Cunningham, it's not Jalen Suggs, it's not one of these big name players, but you think could have a big impact?
I'm going to go Keon Johnson out of Tennessee. He's an incredible athlete. I think he's the best athlete in this draft. He has the highest vertical. But he's an incredible defender as well on ball. He really can step it up, hit the three as well if he needs to. I think he's going to have a great game. He reminds me of a young Russell Westbrook, in my opinion.
That's a lofty comparison there. Ryan, you're going to close us out. Final words of this show or this debate. Obviously, we still have to figure out who the winner is. Who is a sleeper pick or a player, maybe not with the highest stock, that you think could be a real contributor?
I love Adrian Griffin Jr. from Duke. It reminds me a lot of Jimmy Butler. 6'6", 200 pounds, 7-foot wingspan. He's a rock solid defender, very tough and gritty. He doesn't mix words with guys on the court. He really gives it to guys. And I think he's going to be a great NBA player. It's going to be refreshing, seeing a guy with a little bit of toughness come into the league.
Like it's the 80s again. Like Michael Jordan. We know you're a huge Jordan fan. Bringing back the nastiness. That's going to do it for this debate here. I've been joined by two wonderful contestants. Most people don't know this. Ryan was a late fill-in. He was a little bit of a write-in. He volunteered when we had an open slot. He said, "Get me in there. I'm ready for the first title." Akshay has been fighting for a while. I think Akshay has been on here more than anybody else on the show, so we love him as always. But before I announce the winner of today's show, make sure that you are subscribed to the Sports 2.0 network. I mentioned it earlier. We're up over 820 subscribers. Thank you to everybody that's joined on. We're trying to hit 1,000 as soon as we can, but it is now time to decide who the winner is for today's show. And I really loved what both of you had to say. I thought that you were very well prepared. I made you think on the fly. You both came up with some very good answers here. And for today's show, just because simply I thought it was very even, but I think I like their prediction for the NCAA basketball team to watch. I'm going to have to give it to Akshay. You don't get the best prospect in high school who's considered to be the best prospect potentially ever, and you don't have the best expectations, so they are the team to watch. Ryan, it was an incredible effort. This was probably the closest show that we've ever had, but there can only be one winner, and that winner is Akshay. And for that, Akshay, you get a little 30 seconds here to do a victory lap.
Shout out to Ryan, man. That was one of the best debates I've had in a long time. And shout out to Will and Jaya as well. Grateful to get that second win. And I had a lot of fun here today. I'm looking forward to getting number 3 and beating out Will.
Yeah, Will's chirping in the comments right now. He says, "Damn, Ryan, you blew it." What are your thoughts? UCLA over Gonzaga? Come on.
You asked me a team to watch. I told you UCLA. I wasn't picking them to beat Gonzaga, but you told me you got to pick a team to watch or your team to beat. I chose the team to watch. Akshay chose the team to beat. But it was a lot of fun. Well done, Akshay. I don't agree with the outcome, but you did put up a good fight. But it's okay. I had a lot of fun. That's all that matters. Will's a little salty. He lost in the first round. He's having problems with his acoustics. Tanner's having some fun here. It's okay. Tanner, I'm going to pull a little blast from the past with Reggie Miller. You're Spike Lee. You choke. So, yeah, that's that. I'm going to end on that today.
Well, that's how we're going to end. Thank you for tuning in to Shot Clock Violation. Our winner, Akshay Kumbar. Our runner-up, Ryan Godzian. On behalf of Jaya Williams and Will Reed, Allison Park, our producer as well, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.